Hi, everybody.
This is Monday morning with Merle and Patti.
We're trying to be very professional about this and not start out backwards, upside down, giggling, not ready. We did pretty good this time for a Monday morning. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, I'm still trying to get my mouth closed and my eyes open.
It's a Monday
Frank,
thing that
hi,
we
Frank.
try. Hi, everybody.
Oh,
Our usual. Is like
good.
Pascal.
No, Frank, you missed him.
Oh.
And Claudia, hello. Pasquale, always hello. Okay, so today's topic is, should we introduce ourselves first?
Yeah.
Okay. So I am Merle M. Singer, the Relationship Miracle Worker. I am a speaker, a coach, an author. Ta-da!
Yeah.
Cracking the relationship code. The key to happy relationships at home and at work. So there's that. Get it at Amazon. I forgot to tell you. Patti is here.
I'm Patti Negri. I am a psychic. I'm a medium. I'm a good witch. And I do this for a living. I work with people. And together, we work out every morning together. We realized that we had some really interesting wisdom and years of experience of wisdom with very same philosophy spoken a very different language. And we thought combining those two languages might be kind of fun and interesting. So this is what we're doing here. We talk about relationships and all things relationships. This week is a really interesting one because we are talking about dating in the Me Too age when it's what do? Do you touch? Do you not touch? Do you talk? Do you ask permission before you hold their hand? Maybe you do. I was inspired by this. Speaking, I have a part of a club. I belong to a club. It's called Cloak and Dagger, and they're doing some deep conversations. And they brought up we had a whole 1 week only men, 1 week only women, 1 week men and women mixed, where we talked about consent and what that is, and again in the Me Too age. So we thought we would bring our opinions and our thoughts on that to you. Now, admittedly, Merle or I have not been in the dating game for a couple of years, but we have friends who do. And again, this is what we both do for a living. So we do want your input here. What is your experiences? What is your thought? So this would be a really great interactive one.
Yes. I do have, we very much welcome other people's opinions, but I have one opinion that I feel would be very helpful to people dating right now, and that is I never recommend dating at work, but I think 90% of the people do dating at work. So okay, I accept that, but please do not date somebody that you are the boss of. In the strata of your corporation or company, if you are in a higher strata than the other person, man or woman, doesn't matter, do not date them. It's like a teacher dating a student, even in college. Do not recommend, because no matter how good the relationship is going, when it's no longer going so well, you as the boss of the higher strata is in a very tenuous situation, as you already know from what has gone on. So that's it. That's my very strong advice. Other than that, if you date at work, you date at work. But I think what's happened in this era is that women can no longer, now that you have to ask our consent, now that we're not just pieces of meat, it gives us a responsibility as women. We have to say, yes, we do give this consent. Hello, Michael. Yes, we and we have to be responsible. We can't just say, oh, I couldn't help it, he just overtook me. And therefore, we have to take responsibility for the activity that we're participating in.
And boundaries and communication about them in every part of relationships, especially when it comes to dating and sexuality and sensuality and intimacy of any kind. Because the pendulum has swung very far, maybe too far one direction, but it's with all the Me Too, but that's making up for it being the other direction, where maybe some people, and certainly not everybody, and certainly probably not very many of the people watching us right now, where women were not treated, and certain men, with the respect that they deserved, and women did things or felt required to do things or fear to do things that they didn't want to do. Now the pendulum's going the other way, that you can't touch anything. I had one corporate show that I did where in their whole corporation, the only thing you're allowed to touch on another person is the elbow. So your hand to their elbow, period. Not hand to hand, that might be too sensuous or touching. Elbow to elbow, that might be dangerous, and that funny bone thing. But so maybe the pendulum is way far over one way, and it might meet somewhere at a little bit more sane point. But let's work with it now, because maybe we all need the training in that communication and what consent is.
Yes, and I think we need to have compassion for each of us. It's hard for women to learn to speak up without being strident, and nobody wants to turn off the other person. So if you ask too much, I just read this online today. If you ask too much permission, you're the guy asking it doesn't seem romantic enough. And if you give too much of your boundaries as the woman, you have to be careful and gentle about it. So this is the more responsibility, the more freedom we have, the more responsibility we gain. The more responsibility we have and the more power we have, the more compassion we need.
Ooh, that's really good. I hope somebody wrote that down. Words of wisdom from Merle. Yeah, because both sides, nobody knows what to do. I heard that at the men's conversation of my other group, that the men were kind of angry and confused. You didn't know what to do. I hear there's apps now that, like consent apps. You go on a date, you have to, I am recording into my phone. You allowed me to kiss you. You allowed me to kiss you, right? Right. And that's, maybe over the line. But if this is what is needed right now, or if this is what it is right now, whether needed or not, we have to learn to deal with things.
Yes, and that really is where the compassion comes in. And by the way, everything starts with yourself. Compassion for yourself. This is a, every era seems more and more difficult to have romantic relationships in. Yeah. Me, 50 million years back.
Just 50, not 50 million.
Women felt guilty about doing anything, so they really wanted to be pushed into it, so then they could say it wasn't my fault.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. And like, I couldn't help myself.
Yeah, what could I do?
And my generation was kind of that just post-free love disco into the 70s into 80s generation, and nobody knew what they were doing, just have fun. But
after that was AIDS.
Yeah.
So
and I've been into the AIDS generation too, and that was, there's consequence, because there's always some form of consequence, doesn't
Yes.
Cause and effect. Action and reaction.
Exactly.
So again, if you guys have any thoughts about dating, what you want, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, let us know. First dates, are they the hardest? Are they the scariest? Because again, you don't know somebody. Because again, I hear from people that they are doing less dating. They're doing more groups, and maybe that's an okay thing. It's hard to learn that intimacy in one-on-one, but I don't know.
I think it's so, I have to tell you, Patti, I think it's so interesting that our people are not responding.
I know, nobody has any. It's a very tricky, it's complicated and tricky. And again, because we're dealing with sex, even if pre-sex, we're doing sexuality,
Right.
we're dealing with relationships,
Right.
all these things that nobody really understands so well, or that ever-changing landscape of.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have to ask somebody to grab their hand, or is it a verbal? Is it a nonverbal? Because remember, nonverbal communication
Works.
really well. So it's like a nod on the head, may I take your hand, sweet girl, or
Yeah.
not? You know, an elbow, maybe the nonverbal no. I don't
Right.
know.
Right. I mean, do you ask permission or do you ask forgiveness? Today, I think it's closer to permission.
yeah. My old thing of just getting through life was better to ask forgiveness than ask permission on just pushing yourself a little further into to good things, forward moving things, stepping out of the boundaries. You're
Right.
stepping yourself, but I don't think it works right now in dating.
Right.
Dating, period.
Right.
It just doesn't. Ask
Right.
permission.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, whether you set up rules before you go on a date, and maybe that's not a bad idea. Maybe it's like before you get into a moment after your dinner of having wine by candlelight, just saying, okay, I want you to know this is a first date. We don't know where it'll go from here. I don't kiss on a first date. Whatever your boundaries are, maybe you do start like that, you know, before it's in a moment.
Right, right. I think that's a lot of responsibility to have for both couples, both parts of the couple. So I wish you guys luck.
We don't know how to do it. We're not there. But again, and I wish if some of you would be more, because I hear, because I have a lot of friends in very different kinds of relationships. Somebody told me gay men are very different. Oh, last week, even Brian, darling, I wish you were here, Brian.
Where is Brian?
How he thinks gay male relationships are different. They think one way about sex versus heterosexual couples or gay female couples. He thinks there's a different sexuality versus intimacy and da-da-da. I don't know if that's old school thinking. I don't know if that's true thinking or his thinking. But we have to take all that into consideration, both societal considerations and our own ethics and belief systems.
Yes, so if it's comfortable, you can talk a little bit about it and get a sense of how the other person thinks about it. I don't know why we're talking about this, because we really there's so little to know. We were hoping to get some information from all of you. Maybe you'll write it down afterwards,
and then we can discuss.
But
anyway,
go ahead.
Anyway, it gives everybody something to think about, because I know not all of you out there are in a relationship then a lot of you are dating, because 3/4 of people I know are single or dating or looking. And a lot of people I know, you work with a lot of women who are already career women who are looking for relationships now.
Right.
And now you're stepping into it. Maybe you're 40, maybe you're 50, maybe you're whatever age you are. And how do you step into a dating if you have not been focused on it? You've been focusing on that career of yours.
Right. I would say, okay, I think that when you're talking to another person, if you're meeting people, at a bar or something like that, where they really are strangers, do trust your instincts. I think it's important when you're meeting and chatting with new people that you really keep your antenna up and pay attention to what vibe am I getting, and maybe that's helpful for men who are kind of conditioned to charge ahead no matter what. Yeah. One of these times it's going to work. I think this would be a good time for you to take enough time to see what kind of vibe this other person puts off.
Because we all get it. Don't just at yours, because a lot of us make fear decisions or decisions based on past experiences. Try to get past both of those into that real, what is your gut telling you about this moment, this person, this thing? We all got it.
Yeah, you know, and I'll bring it up because I just keep thinking about it. I remember this was my 21st birthday. Okay, guys. So it was like past last week, and I was dating this guy. I can picture him. I still can't remember his name. He brought me 21 roses for my birthday. It was really sweet. And we went out to dinner, and then we went and parked. And we were making out. And he really was quite energetic. He was into it. He had in mind something I didn't have in mind. And so I'd like, no, you know, and I pushed him away, and I felt he was gone. I mean, he was so into what was happening that he had no brain left, and it was all muscle, and I knew I could not push him away, and I'm like, oh, now what? So I said, this a good brain I had. I said, well, pushing him is exciting him. So I stopped that. And what I did was I just went completely limp. And I said, okay, if you get your kicks from doing it with a corpse, have at it. And that woke him up. But I had to go really do the opposite. So I think we have to respect to help. I don't know how. We need to have signals or something to tell each other that this is acceptable. This is okay. It's a little more than I had in mind, but it's fun. And oops, this is not.
Right.
This is my boundary.
Right. Because I was in Hollywood in the 80s, in the crazy 80s. I have been locked in casting offices and told that this is how I get the part and this is not. And you're going, well, I do really want the part with it. No, I've been and it's a lot of. You got to use your head, and you got to use wit too. I always use wit. I maybe wasn't as smart as her, but I was funny. It's like, okay, let's know. So figure out whatever works for you. But communication, humor is good. Awesome. I got out of some crazy things with humor.
Yes. Yeah. So that's. Do we have any?
I think people might be talking, but it froze. I'm just looking. We froze.
Oh. I hope our talking hasn't froze.
It doesn't look like our talking froze. Our listeners have froze. Because I've been watching that for like all 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's not usual.
Cyberspace. What do you do? At least we're not talking to the back of our head today. Now it moves. Yay.
Alejandra, hi.
Anyway, we appreciate you guys watching. We want your feedback, even if it's later in the game, if you have any to give. And if you don't have any feedback, that's okay too.
Yes.
Come back next week. Monday morning, 11 a.m. Pacific time.
Yes.
Do we know what we're talking about yet?
We have no idea.
Give us some suggestions if you have anything about relationships, anything at all, and it could take whatever left turn it needs. I am Patti Negri. You can find me at pattinegri.com, Facebook Patti Negri, Facebook Patti Negri Psychic Medium. You cannot friend me on Patti Negri. I'm full up, but you could follow me there and like my other page. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everything gathers at pattinegri.com.
Awesome. Okay, so I am Merle M. Singer and my website is relationshipmiracleworker.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Merle Singer. You can Merle M. Singer is you like me on that. I'm so clever. And I'm also on Twitter and Instagram. Merle M. Singer, I think. That's it.
All right. Thank you guys. Have a great week. Happy dating. Happy non-dating. Come back next Monday, 11 a.m. Pacific time.
We'll be there.
Bye.